Hey everybody, it's Mr. Mayor here, and today we're going to be thinking about something a little bit different in our EYFS PSHE session. We're going to be asking the question, what is the census? And this is part of a project that we're running across the school, working with the Office for National Statistics, thinking about the Let's Count unit of work. What is the census? Have you ever heard the word census before? If so, when did you hear it? You might like to pause this video now and talk to your adults at home about the word census. Think back to some of the stories that we've thought about at school, some of the things that we've done before when we looked at elections, and maybe even think about a special story that we talked about close to Christmas time. When you've had an opportunity to talk about this word, you could press play and we'll move on together. The census is a count of all the people in England and Wales. It happens every 10 years. It asks lots of questions such as, where do people live? What jobs do they do? Which languages do they speak? How many cars do they own? Why does the census ask us these questions? The census asks all these questions so that we know how many people there are. How does the census help us? By knowing how many people there are and asking them specific questions, the census helps us make sure there are enough things like schools and hospitals in the places where people will need them. The census is a count of all people and households in England and Wales. The last census was held on the 27th of March 2011. The next census is on the 21st of March 2021, so it will be happening soon. A census has been held throughout England and Wales every 10 years since 1801, apart from in 1941 due to the Second World War. The census is run by the Office for National Statistics. The census can also help us to find out about life in the past. We just heard that the first census was held in 1801, so it's been happening for 220 years. Although each year the questions change slightly, we've been finding out about the same things for the whole time that we've been holding the census. That means that we're able to look at the answers that people gave in the past and see how things have changed over time. Censuses aren't a new thing, so although they've been happening for 220 years, they happened even longer ago than that. The Romans used a census to assess the population and work out how much tax they could raise. The word assess or assessing comes from a Latin word, and in the olden days meant to fix to the amount, so it's linked to the origin of the word census. William the Conqueror created the Domesday Book in 1085 to find out how much tax he could raise across the country. And so he was holding a census. He wanted to know how many people there were and how much money he could make. Thinking about William the Conqueror and the Domesday Book and trying to work out how many people there were to find out how much tax you could raise might have reminded you of a story that we thought about before Christmas, and you might have said this earlier when I asked you, have you ever heard the word census? When we thought about the nativity story, Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem to be counted in a census. And in our Christmas production, we were thinking about how Caesar had decreed that all the people in his land needed to be counted. And so they were holding a census. So what are we going to be doing for the census in reception at school? Over the course of March, we're going to be thinking about voting. And so in March 2021, the next census is being held, and we're going to spend this month thinking about the different types of voting that we can do in school or that we can do from home. We've already thought about this before in school when we enjoyed setting up our voting booth in the classroom. Can you remember? In the role play area we had a box and we had a special screen and everyone was able to cross the option that they wanted when we were voting for animals or treats or television shows. We've also done lots of voting before when we've been choosing books to read each day in story time. I wonder whether you can think of some questions that you could ask your family and friends either at home or online. In some of our sessions in March, we're going to be thinking about voting, and we're going to have different options to see which is the most popular by asking everybody what they think. We talked before when we looked at elections in school about your vote matters. Don't lose it, you need to use it. I'd be really interested to hear in some of the voting that you think about that you can do at home. Perhaps you could think about a show like Paw Patrol that you enjoy watching and then ask your family and your friends which character is their favourite. Then you could count up the votes to see which is the most popular. Whatever you do, we'd love to hear about it. And as I say, we're going to be thinking about this a lot more throughout March in school. Have a lovely day today, everyone, and take care. Bye-bye.